The moment I saw my father's Facebook post, I couldn't breathe. It was a picture of my 6-year-old daughter smiling at the park, but the caption underneath made my blood run cold. Some mistakes grow up and create more mistakes. My mother had reacted with a laughing emoji. My cousins were making jokes in the comments. Hundreds of strangers were sharing it. My husband sat quietly beside me, read every word, then picked up his phone without saying a single sentence. 24 hours later, legal notices were arriving at my parents' front door, and suddenly, nobody in the family was laughing anymore. My father publicly called my 6-year-old daughter a mistake. Not in a private message. Not during a family argument. He posted her smiling photo where hundreds of people could see it, then sat back and watched relatives laugh. What happened over the next 24 hours destroyed my family forever. My name is Emily Carter. I'm 34 years old, married to my husband, Daniel, and we're raising the brightest little girl I've ever known. Her name is Lily, and she's 6 years old. She loves dinosaurs, strawberry pancakes, and believes every stray cat secretly belongs to Santa Claus. She had never done anything to deserve becoming the center of a family feud. But my parents didn't see her as an innocent child. To them, she was simply another reminder that I had disappointed them. Growing up, I was always the child who could never measure up. My younger brother, Ryan, earned scholarships, built a successful real estate business before 30, and bought my parents expensive vacations every Christmas. I became an elementary school teacher. I loved my work, but according to my father, love didn't pay the bills. Every family dinner turned into another comparison. Ryan just closed another deal. Ryan's buying a bigger house. You should learn something from your brother. After years of hearing those same conversations, I stopped trying to impress them. When Daniel and I got married, we built a peaceful life away from the constant criticism. We weren't wealthy, but our home was filled with laughter instead of judgment. When Lily was born, I quietly decided she would never grow up believing she wasn't enough. That meant limiting contact with my parents. Birthdays, Christmas, a few holiday dinners. Nothing more. I thought distance would keep the peace. I couldn't have been more wrong. Everything exploded on a quiet Thursday afternoon. I was grading spelling tests during my lunch break when my phone buzzed. It was my cousin Melissa. Melissa, Emily, have you seen Uncle David's Facebook? A screenshot appeared before I could answer. The moment I opened it, every sound around me disappeared. It was a picture of Lily. The same picture Daniel and I had posted weeks earlier after taking her to the city zoo. She was wearing her little yellow jacket, missing one front tooth, smiling while feeding a giraffe. My father had copied the photo. Then he wrote one sentence underneath it. Some mistakes grow up and create more mistakes. My stomach dropped. I stared at the words, hoping I had misunderstood them. I hadn't. My mother had reacted with a laughing emoji. Ryan commented, "Guess some family traditions never end." An aunt replied with crying laughing emojis. One cousin wrote, "Savage Uncle David." Another added, "Tell us how you really feel." The comments kept coming. Some people knew exactly who Lily was. Others didn't. They simply joined the joke because everyone else was laughing. That somehow made it even worse. My daughter had become entertainment. For strangers. I clicked the share count. 38. Then 51. Then 64. Every refresh brought another number. Another person spreading my little girl's face across the internet beside words no child should ever be connected to. I don't remember driving home. I only remember sitting in my driveway with my hands shaking so badly that I couldn't fit my key into the front door. Daniel opened it before I even tried again. The moment he saw my face, he knew something was wrong. What happened? I couldn't answer. I simply handed him my phone. He read the post once. Then again. Then, he quietly sat down at the kitchen table. For nearly 10 minutes, neither of us spoke. I cried harder than I had in years. Not because my father hated me. I had accepted that long ago. But because he had dragged my daughter into it. Daniel kept scrolling. Every comment. Every reaction. Every share. He never interrupted me. Never cursed. Never slammed the table. The calmer he became, the more nervous I felt. Finally, he placed my phone face down. "Did you reply?" he asked. I wiped my eyes. "No." "Good. I wanted to." "I know. I wanted everyone to know what kind of people they are." He nodded slowly. "And that's exactly what they want." I looked at him, confused. "They're expecting an emotional fight," he continued. "If you argue, the comments grow. More people join. More screenshots. More humiliation. So, we just let them do this?" He reached across the table and held my hand. "No." His voice stayed perfectly calm. "We let them finish." Those 4 words confused me even more. "What do you mean?" Daniel stood, walked into his home office, and returned carrying a small notebook. He began writing times, names, links, comment counts, share numbers, every detail. I watched him carefully document everything without missing a single post. Then he picked up his phone. He stepped onto the back porch, closed the sliding door behind him, and made one quiet phone call. I couldn't hear the entire conversation. Only one sentence floated back through the glass. "Yes, I need every screenshot preserved before they realize what they've done." When he came back inside, he looked at me with complete confidence. For the first time all day, I saw something other than sadness in his eyes. I saw certainty. Then he said the sentence that would change everything. "By tomorrow morning, they won't be laughing anymore." I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Lily's smiling face sitting beneath my father's cruel caption. I kept wondering how anyone could look at a 6-year-old child and think public humiliation was funny. Daniel, on the other hand, slept for exactly 4 hours. At 6 o'clock the next morning, he was already sitting at the dining room table with his laptop open, 3 notebooks beside him, and a cup of untouched coffee growing cold. He looked focused, calm, methodical, nothing like a man planning revenge. He was preparing something far more dangerous. The truth. I sat across from him. "Daniel, what exactly are you doing?" He didn't look up immediately. "I'm making sure nobody can pretend this never happened." He rotated the laptop toward me. Every comment had been archived. Every reaction was documented. Every share had been recorded with timestamps. Even the edits my father made after people started reacting had been preserved. "You saved all of this overnight?" He nodded. "I didn't." "What do you mean?" "I called people who handle digital evidence every day." That was when I learned something my husband had rarely talked about. Although most people knew him as an information security consultant, a large part of his work involved helping companies investigate online misconduct, privacy violations, and digital evidence preservation. He wasn't guessing. He knew exactly what needed to be documented before anything disappeared. He pointed to my father's post. "This isn't just about hurt feelings." "It isn't." "No." He looked directly at me. "They publicly used a minor's photograph without her parents' permission and attached words that encouraged public ridicule. Once hundreds of people started interacting with it, the harm multiplied." I felt sick hearing it explained so plainly. "So, what happens now?" "We don't argue. We don't threaten. We let professionals handle it." Around 9 that morning, Daniel made another phone call. An hour later, an attorney returned it. By lunchtime, a formal letter had been prepared. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't demand millions of dollars. It simply required 3 things. Immediately remove every post containing Lily's image. Preserve all related digital evidence. Issue a written public correction acknowledging that the post was inappropriate. At the same time, reports were submitted to the social media platform, including screenshots showing the comments targeting a child. Everything was factual. Everything was documented. Everything remained professional. By early afternoon, my phone began vibrating nonstop. First my aunt, then my cousin Melissa, then Ryan. I ignored every call. Finally, my father called. Daniel glanced at the screen. "Don't answer." 5 minutes later, he called again. Then again. Finally, he left a voicemail. His voice wasn't apologetic. It was furious. "Emily, tell your husband to stop playing lawyer. Nobody's scared of fake paperwork. Call me back." Daniel listened, without changing expression. He still thinks this is about winning an argument. An hour later, Melissa texted me. Melissa, your parents just got a courier delivery. 10 minutes later, another message arrived. Melissa, Ryan got one too. Then another. Melissa, Aunt Karen says she got legal papers because she shared the post. The panic spread through the family faster than the original picture ever had. Relatives who had laughed the day before suddenly started deleting comments. Some removed their shares. Others quietly changed their privacy settings. But Daniel only shook his head. It doesn't matter. Why? Because deleting something isn't the same as erasing it. That evening, the original Facebook post disappeared. No explanation. No apology. Nothing. My father apparently believed deleting it would make everything disappear. Instead, it created even more questions. Relatives began calling each other. Nobody seemed to know exactly what was happening. Rumors spread in every direction. Some believed my parents were being sued. Others claimed Facebook had suspended the account. One cousin insisted Daniel worked for the government. I almost laughed when I heard that. Almost. At 7 that evening, my father called from my mother's phone. Against my better judgment, I answered. His voice exploded through the speaker. Are you happy now? I stayed silent. You embarrassed this family over a joke. Before I could respond, Daniel gently took the phone from my hand. His voice remained calm, almost polite. Mr. Carter, you tell your wife to stop hiding behind lawyers. Daniel waited until he finished shouting. Then he spoke. Nobody is asking for money. Silence. We're asking for accountability. Another long pause. If you believe this was only a harmless joke, Daniel continued, you'll have the opportunity to explain that during mediation. Mediation? Yes. You've got to be kidding.
No.
Daniel looked at me as he answered. The invitation should arrive tomorrow morning. He ended the call before my father could say another word. I stared at him. They actually agreed to mediation? They didn't request it. They were invited. I looked at the dark screen of my phone, realizing this had grown far beyond a cruel social media post. Tomorrow, my parents wouldn't just be facing me. They would finally have to face the consequences of what they had chosen to do. The mediation meeting took place 3 days later. Not in a courtroom. Not in front of television cameras. Just inside a quiet conference room where every chair seemed to carry more weight than the last. Daniel and I arrived first. Our attorney sat beside us, a neat stack of folders placed carefully on the table. Across from us sat my parents. My father looked irritated. My mother looked exhausted. Ryan arrived a few minutes later, avoiding eye contact with everyone. When the mediator entered, she explained one simple rule. Everyone will have the opportunity to speak without interruption. My father folded his arms. This entire thing is ridiculous. Nobody answered. Our attorney quietly opened the first folder. Inside were printed screenshots. The original Facebook post. Every cruel comment. Every laughing emoji. Every public share. Page after page. The mediator slid the papers across the table. I'd like everyone to take a moment to read these. The room became silent. For the first time, my parents weren't scrolling past comments on a screen. They were forced to read every word on paper. One comment mocked Lily's smile. Another called her the next family disappointment. Someone I had never met joked that bad parenting clearly runs in the bloodline. My father stopped turning pages. My mother covered her mouth. The mediator spoke softly. These comments were directed at a 6-year-old child. No one argued, because no one could. Daniel finally broke the silence. We're not here because someone hurt Emily's feelings. He looked directly at my parents. We're here because Lily is old enough to read now. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Daniel continued. Imagine she's 10 years old and finds these comments someday. No one had an answer. Then something happened I never expected. My mother began crying. Not quietly. Not dramatically. Just the kind of crying that comes when someone finally realizes the damage they've caused. I never thought. She whispered. I just clicked the laughing emoji. Daniel nodded respectfully. And that single click told everyone else it was acceptable. She lowered her head. I'm ashamed. My father remained silent. The mediator turned toward him. Mr. Carter? He stared at the table for several seconds. Finally, he spoke. I thought I was making a point. What point? I asked. His shoulders dropped. I was angry. At me. Yes. So you punish my daughter instead. He closed his eyes. For the first time in my life, my father didn't defend himself. He simply whispered, yes. The room stayed quiet. There wasn't a dramatic speech. There wasn't shouting. Just the heavy truth sitting between all of us. Over the next hour, an agreement was reached. Every remaining copy of Lily's photograph under their control would be permanently removed. A written public apology would be posted on the same account where the original image had appeared. Family members who had shared or commented would receive a request asking them to remove their posts as well. Most importantly, everyone acknowledged that children should never become targets during disagreements between adults. A week later, my father published the apology. It wasn't perfect, but it accepted responsibility. He admitted the post had been wrong. He apologized to Lily by name. He asked relatives to stop discussing the incident publicly. Several cousins reached out to me privately. Some admitted they had joined the comments without thinking. Others apologized for laughing simply because everyone else was laughing. I accepted the sincere apologies. But forgiveness didn't erase what happened. My parents and I still don't see each other often. There are birthdays, occasional holidays, nothing more. Trust isn't rebuilt because someone says they're sorry. It's rebuilt through consistent actions over time. One evening, a month after everything ended, Lily climbed into my lap while we were reading together. She smiled and asked, "Mommy, are Grandpa and Grandma mad anymore?" I kissed the top of her head. "No, sweetheart. They're learning to be kinder." She nodded as if that answer made perfect sense. Children believe people can become better. Maybe that's why they deserve protecting more than anyone else. As we tucked Lily into bed that night, Daniel squeezed my hand. He smiled and quietly said, "Children are never responsible for adult conflicts." He's right. If this story has one lesson, it's this. Protect your children's dignity, even when it's uncomfortable. Set healthy boundaries, even with family. And remember that a single post made for laughs can leave wounds that last far longer than anyone expects. Because respect can always be rebuilt. But a child's sense of safety should never have to be.